everyone, this is the next part of this, and I have put all the three colours in that I was going to do. Well, the two colours, the two blue up there and the white in the centre, and I finished with that little bit there, and I'm going to show you how I get rid of that end. I go into the back part of the stitch. I have a V stitch there. I'll blow that up more so you can see better. You have the V stitch there. I go into the back of the V and just pull it through. Just keep putting it through the back of the V until it disappears. And that helps to hide the ends where you've finished. I'll leave that little end. I can cut that little bit off if it doesn't disappear with the stitches. And so that's where I finished. Now I'm going to just start somewhere else with another colour. I'll turn it round and start on the other side. And so I'm just going to put the wool through, pull it through. You have that little end there to get rid of, and I'll show you. Do the same with that end as what we did with the blue. I'm going to make one chain, yeah, and then get rid of the turquoise. That's so you don't have to do any sewing in or weaving in afterwards. You just slot it through. I've always found this the best way to get rid of any ends. And then I pull it through the back way from behind, not the whole stitch. On the last stitch. So that's on the inside of the bag. Now I'm just going to crochet around it is a little bit hard to get through where you put the end in to get rid of it, because it's a little bit thicker. And as you can see, that end is hidden. You can't notice where it is. And from now on, I'm just going to use the turquoise. And I'm probably going to do about another 5 rounds, and then I will show you how to do the handles. Till it measures about 10 inches. It depends how many rounds it takes to get to 10 inches, and I'll be back then. So I've crocheted all the way around in the turquoise, and I'm now up to where I would be joining, but I'm just going to go around in circles, so I'm not going to make a chain here. I'm just going to to go into the first stitch here. And just carry on. And just carry on crocheting all the way around in a circle now. I did joins when I was putting the blue and the white in, because I didn't want to have a step up from one colour to another. So it is now just crocheting around in circles until the bag measures around about 10 inches. It now measures up to here. Put it down so it's better to see. It now measures 9 inches from there to there, and I've measured here, and there are 3 rounds to an inch, so I have to do another 3 rounds here, and then I will show you how to do the handles. And someone mentioned about the crochet leaning. As you can see, it does lean. Follow the line up. It does lean to the direction that you're crocheting, because you're going round in circles. Even if you do a join, you're still going around in one way, and that's how the crochet leans. For that's an explanation for someone who mentioned that in a comment. Nearly all bags and that are done like this. Nearly all lean. The crochet leans. If you look, you know, you can see how it leans slightly. Unless you go crochet one way and come back again the other way, which you can't do in these things because it wouldn't look right. So that's why it leans, for anyone that might notice that. Leans to one way, that's what. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to crochet around another 3 times. I will measure it after I've done the 3 times to make sure it's a bit tight to get that through there. I'll pull that stitch out. And pull the next one out. I think it's stitches split. That's it. I can see where the stitch, so I wasn't going through the whole strand. So I will come back when I get up to the handles on the bag. For this part of the bag, for to do the handles, you're going to need some stitch markers and a tape measure. And I've put the bag down flat, completely flat, and you measure, which is 16 inches. So I'm going to put a stitch marker where it says 8 inches there. That's half into the stitch there. And a one on the other side to match. Now I'm going to measure 4 inches from the stitch marker and put another stitch marker in there, and then 4 inches from that stitch marker. stitch marker in there. And you put one on either side to match those ones. And that is where the handles is going to be, where those stitch markers are. So you can take that one out of the centre now. That was just to make sure you had them lined up properly. And now I'm going to crochet. I'm going to count also how many stitches in between to make sure there's the same on the other side, because you crochet here, and so that's a stitch marker one where the stitch marker is. You count them, not the one where the stitch marker is. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16, 17. At 17 you have stitches in the center there. This one, 1, 2, 15, 16, 17. So we have 17 stitches in there. So I'm going to crochet up to each stitch marker, make a chain of probably about 20, because you don't want it exactly the same length as the center. You want it to come around like that a little bit. But I'll do the chain first and see how many stitches I need. This is rather awkward for me because I am standing up looking down over my phone doing this. Well, I'm usually sitting down with it on my knee. I can crochet a lot faster that way. But this is rather awkward for me. Now we'll take that stitch marker out, because that's where the chain's going to start from, that next stitch. So we're going to work one stitch where the stitch marker was, and then do a chain. I'll try 20 first. 1, 2, 19, 20. We put that down and see where how the chain looks up to the stitch marker. That's how it looks up to the stitch marker, and I don't think there's enough, so I'm going to do a few more. So that is 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So as you can see, you have a little loop like there away from this space here. So that's 24 stitches. We've made a chain of 24 stitches, and then I'm going to go into the stitch where the stitch marker is, to put that into it first. I'll have to take it out because it's a bit awkward with the stitch marker in. And just do an ordinary double crochet into that stitch, and then we are going to crochet around to the other side and do exactly the same. So we're going to crochet around to the next stitch marker, do another chain of 24 and join it on the other side, and I'll see you then. So I've crocheted up to the first chain, and I've done a few stitches. When you go through the chain, make sure you leave just one stitch at the bottom like that. So you end the chain, go through, so you have one stitch at the bottom like that, and the double part of the stitch up the top, and just double crochet around the chain like that. So that is how you're crocheting around the chain, and you carry on the whole chain, go round and do the same on the other chain, and I will come back when I get that far and show you how to finish it off. So that is the second chain for the handle done, and now we're going to go to finish off on this row. And to finish off, as we were going round and round without joining, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows here, and round about here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll have to go so far down and bring the stitch down to match this row of 6 here. So we're going from 5, because once we crochet over the top of that, there'll be 6, and if we carry on over the top of that, you'll have a 1 stitch higher. So I'll show you what I do. I just crochet until I get to near where those 6 rows are. And we're almost at that place there. So instead of doing double crochet, I'm just going to slip stitch the next 3 stitches. That brings the stitch down so that you don't have a stitch going over those 6. It's a lower, flatter stitch. And that brings your stitch down level with the extra one you have here. Now I'm going to go through the stitch here, tighten it up, pull it through the back, and I'll have to get my scissors to cut that off. I'm going to leave a length because I'm going to weave in this stitch, because this is the very end of the, and that stitch there will just be stitched down inside there, so you don't notice where you started and where you finished. And that is the finished bag. I just need to weave in that little stitch there and have a look on the inside for any, no, that's not the one where I wove in, any little bits that might be sticking through where you joined the, like that, little bits like that, might cut them off, you know, too. And that is how you make a bag, and that bag measures, when it's flat, measures just over 16 inches. It's hard to measure the length because of the base, but I'll do it like that. And that measures 10 inches, a little higher on the sides because we went round there. It's about 10.5 on the sides. So that's a good size little project bag. For your knitting. So the next thing I'm going to do after this one will be a notion pouch. I'm going to show you how to do the notion pouch. So if you would like to see more anytime, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll show you next time. So bye for now.